What is going on, everyone? And welcome back to another About Teams video. Hope everyone enjoyed their weekend. I certainly did. It was fun, and this is our NBA recap. Obviously, we have teams that advanced. The final four set our Eastern Conference Finals and our Western Conference Finals matchups, but we'll preview more of those tomorrow. This will just kind of be a feedback of the games that happened this weekend. We had two game sevens. Indiana forced a game seven back in New York. Nick, if this is a spot, I still think did you have the Knicks winning this series? I still think, but you showed
Yeah,
more.
I think we both did. I
know I did, but I know you had more respect for Indiana necessarily than I did. This game, Indiana, I think it was the greatest game seven offensive performance I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Percentage-wise, that showed. Biggest thing was it was like a stretch for 3 minutes in like the first half, maybe late first quarter. Tyrese Halliburton was just not missing. He made like 3-4 straight 3-pointers in a row. He was talking trash to the New York Knicks fans. And that's the Tyrese that everyone knew at the beginning of the season when they were ready to crown him like a top 10 player. That was just some beautiful basketball.
Mm-hmm.
They got contributions from everyone. Pascal Siakam, Aaron Nesmith was making some hustle plays. It was just a great game for Indiana all around. And there's no way to kind of discredit them from this. They obviously did their thing. I think it's a shame, though, for the Knicks, because when you look at this season, I really think they could have challenged Boston fully healthy. I say even if they won this game, OG Anunoby, I watched the first 3 minutes. I was like, there's no way he's playing. It looked like he could barely walk. So not sure how we got cleared to even go for that game. He played 3 minutes and then sat the rest. Jalen Brunson getting injured middle of the game. I mean, when you lose your star player to a fractured hand, that just sucks. And Josh Hart fouled out, but he was trying to hustle. DiVincenzo, shout out to him. 40 points, basically. Trying to give it his all. Alec Burks was able to provide an offensive spark, which kind of kept the game around 15 points most of the way, really. But you always knew Indiana kind of had a grip on this game. But shout out to the Pacers, man. I mean, I didn't expect this.
I don't think anyone expected this type of game. I could have seen, just because Indiana, they won a game in New York, right, earlier in the series. So
no, every home team won the first 6 games.
Oh, okay.
Which was the crazy
series then. So then, but yeah, I mean, I thought it would be competitive just because the injuries to New York and Indiana was, playing hot, coming off a home win. But I didn't expect, them going into halftime shooting 80% from the field. I was kind of saying to myself watching the game, I'm like, New York could be playing great basketball, but if the other team's shooting 80%, that's impossible to beat because of how we always talk about sustainability. And if it can, if a team can sustain that, doesn't matter in a game seven. You can have the greatest
exactly.
game. Doesn't matter. If you
that's
can
the beauty of it.
For one game and that one game is game seven, doesn't matter. So
that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Huge shout out to Indiana though. Halliburton stepped up. He stepped up like we said he had to. He took his shots. He helped his team out. And shout out to the Pacers really as a whole because everybody stepped up. I missed I think the first quarter, but almost the entire time I was watching, it seemed like every time I looked up and Indiana had the ball, they did not miss. I was saying it to my dad who I was watching the game with. I'm like, they will not miss a shot. This is ridiculous. Because the Knicks, as injured as they were, I thought didn't play a terrible game. DiVincenzo almost had 40, and yet they got their asses beat at home because of how good Indiana played. So huge shout out.
Indiana's defense too this postseason. Their defense has just been way better. It feels like they're playing more aggressive, getting back because we know how good their offense is. But the reason why they were a 6th seed, not necessarily a higher seed with one of the greatest offenses ever, was because their defense wasn't up to par. But that has kind of flipped this. They've shown abilities just to be able to hustle back and just be scrappy, which is really all you need because their offense will score as long as Tyrese is cooking. And like I said, we'll talk previews tomorrow. But if Indiana wants to have any shot at least competing with the Celtics, Tyrese is going to need to be like this every game, aggressive. Got a good guy swinging. Take 12 3-point attempts. Do your thing. You can get to the rim. You're going to need contributions from everyone. And it's the Aaron Nesmith series, in my opinion. Should be fun.
Yeah, could be. Also, just addressing, because I've seen so much on social media of like, Mickey Mouse run for Indiana, just addressing talking about all the injuries to New York. It's like, they're not going to not play because their guys are injured. Like, they still got to go out there and compete.
It sucks. I mean, I think it's not Mickey Mouse run Indiana. You still have to beat a team where DiVincenzo is dropping 40 points, going to Madison Square Garden. At the time, Jalen Brunson was playing and you were still winning. But, I mean, I get where New York is coming, from in a sense. They were so good when they were fully healthy with OG. You forget you had Bojan Bogdanovic off the bench. Julius Randle could have at least played somewhat of a factor. They just had a lot of great players and great depth, but then they just, had to rely on Alec Burks, who was barely playing when everyone was healthy. But he provided a spark. And obviously the Giannis, it's just unfortunate Giannis couldn't play. I mean, people just want to see the big time stars, but it's great to see a team like Indiana as an underdog make it here. But
yeah,
I think, we'll talk about in our preview tomorrow how we think they'll match up against Boston. But Indiana, shout out to them. One of the biggest upsets I've seen this playoff so far.
I mean, even looking at just one more thing, looking at the scoreboard, it kind of seemed like a blowout, but I honestly don't think even with the injuries, Indiana wins that game 7 if they don't shoot the way they did. And that has nothing to do. I don't think that. Well, it probably somewhat to do with the injuries, just because defensively, New York probably wasn't as good. But if they don't shoot, 70% from the field, they're probably not winning that game because New York made a run coming out.
Yeah, they did. They cut to a 6-point game.
Yeah.
Everyone thought it was over, but Indiana came back. Yeah, if they shoot 55% instead of 67, we're talking maybe a 5-point game either way. But they delivered. That's the beauty of Game 7. It can be one outlier. It doesn't matter. But with that being said, let's get into the other Game 7.
I'll let you have this one, buddy. I know you've been waiting a long time.
It got me emotional, man, seeing this. It looked early on. Denver threw their first punch. Their defense was very good, double teaming Anthony Edwards. And I feel like early on they just struggled to hit shots when they were open. They seemed to be rushing things, especially Anthony just kind of seemed confused at first, was hesitating, being aggressive. But, man, Jamal Murray, first half, absolutely unreal. I mean, great game overall, still 35. You'll take that, considering the inconsistencies he's had this series. But he balled out. Jokic, 34, but on 13 of 28 shooting. I mean, how more inefficient, for Jokic can you get than that? Because Jokic is just unreal, best player in the world. So you'll take that. The Timberwolves were down 58-38 early in the second half, but the comeback was fueled by defense and then just people stepping up. Karl Anthony Towns was taking advantage of mismatches early. Only reason we were down 20 instead of 40 was just being aggressive. And then Jaden McDaniels, these last 2 games was unreal. 20-plus points each game. Told you we need an X factor like him in this game. Anthony Edwards finally started knocking down some shots late, and his defense just overall swarmed because that 28-9 run isn't sparked with defense. Holding a team to 9 points in 10 minutes is really hard, especially the defending champion Nuggets on their home court. That's where the comeback started. And then shots eventually began to fall. Naz Reid put back dunks. Rudy Gobert, Dirk Nowitzki fadeaway mid-range in the fourth quarter. It was unreal. I mean, the defense swarmed. The offense clutched up when it needed to. And this team's just been resilient all year. I knew this series was going to be 7 games. but I knew my boys would come out of this one. They just got that different mentality to this team. There's really not much I can say. I was really shocked watching it. Just the comeback, just the team's identity all year, defense. That's what leads to offense. And it wasn't pretty, 98 points. Obviously, if you told me that at the beginning of the game, I'd say, not sure how we're going to win this. But they got it done. Big shots late. Just Naz Reid put back dunk was great to see. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns iced the game with his own dunk too. So it was a great team win. I mean, I'm still shocked. Timberwolves going to their second Western Conference Finals exactly 20 years ago yesterday. They also advanced with KG, so that was kind of nice. Their second time ever, 20th anniversary, where they'll take on the Dallas Mavericks. But, man, what a way. And this was just a great series overall.
Yep. So we know I picked Denver in 7. So I got a few bones to pick with them. But before I do any of that, I got to give Minnesota their flowers because they completely flipped the switch second half and played probably the best defense they've played all year because their season was on the line when they played it. They completely shut down Jokic. You know, he was pretty ineffective up until the end when he was just hitting free throws. But that was already when Minnesota was up like 10. Ant did not, he, like you said, didn't look comfortable the first half, but what got him going was his defense along with everybody else on Minnesota. And even though Ant had kind of a poor stat line, I think he played incredible in the second half. He knocked down, I know he knocked down a huge corner three. I think that gave him a 10-point lead.
Yeah.
Or was it for the lead? Yeah, it was a 10-point lead.
So
and it was like late in the fourth. So before I, say anything about the Nuggets, the Timberwolves deserve this. Like they're probably the scariest team in the West right now. Or even before going into the playoffs, I thought they were the scariest team in the West. Because, they're playing with nothing to lose, great defense, young, dog mentality like Ant Edwards has. So
shout out to
them. I won't be surprised if they make it to the finals. But getting into Denver side. So Jamal Murray, like you said, great first half. I think 24 points, was shooting lights out. Then, Minnesota starts making their run. So what does Jamal Murray do to counter that? And just starts jacking up random threes, break, making me mad because he's making my prediction look bad. Second thing, towards the end of the game when both Gobert and Cat had 5 fouls, and this was with I think 4 minutes left.
Yeah, I was concerned about that.
They need to the Nuggets need to attack that. They need to give the ball to Jokic, let him go down low and score, and if he gets fouled, they're out. And Gobert did foul out. But also, before I keep going, another shout out to Naz Reid because he came in and played incredible for those guys who were in foul trouble. But they got to attack that. And then third, just the role players of the Nuggets were terrible. I don't know if I think Jokic and Murray were the only guys in double digits for this game for the Nuggets. I know Michael Porter shot 2 of 12, something atrocious like that. So it was just ugly for the Nuggets. I'm not depressed because I'm not a fan of either of these teams, but just it makes my pick look bad. So I was rooting for my pick.
Yeah.
But when it's all said and done, I'm happy for the Timberwolves. I'm happy for Ant for carrying this team to the conference finals and hopefully the NBA finals because that'd be awesome to see.
This podcast would have a lot of beef if that happened. If Celtics Timberwolves made it there.
I'll let you talk the talk. I let the games do the talking. If the Celtics are lucky enough to make the finals and win, then I'll be happy. But we'll see. We'll see if they can get there first.
Yeah, just one more shout out to Rudy Gobert too. I think not necessarily even on the defensive end, but the offensive end when no shots were falling, He started being the one being aggressive, taking advantage of mismatches, getting the team into bonus to just hit some easy free throws to get points in, get the shots falling early. So he really started cooking. And that fadeaway, I still can't get over it. It was like a mid-range. I was like, no way. But he hit it. And that's why I knew we kind of won the game. That was when stuff like that happens, it's unreal. But he was being the one aggressive early on offense in the second half when we were down 20. We needed points. Shout out to Rudy. Amazing series, though, overall. We'll talk about what Denver needs to do in the offseason more. So, because there's some interesting question marks, but still, I still think arguably the best team. Just, I think the matchup in this series is so tough for a team like Denver because you think, oh, Rudy's in foul trouble, sweet, and then you go, Nazareed's coming off the bench. It's like, oh, like not really much of a downgrade. 6th man of the year, obviously. But yeah, shout out to Minnesota, my Timberwolves, man. We'll talk their next opponent, who will be the Dallas Mavericks. I picked the Mavericks to win the series. It was an epic series, especially Game 6. But Dallas gets it done, man. This is finally Kyrie showed up. They just got contributions from everyone in their wins. PJ Washington, some games, Derek Jones Jr. This game, it was huge, man. Mavericks just, you know what Luke is going to do. Triple-double basically every night, near 30 points. Kyrie, for most of the series, was kind of just being a decoy almost, but he stepped up when he needed to, hit some big shots, and then getting contributions from like a third star, like PJ Washington, Derek Jones, acting like those third stars in the series was huge for Dallas. For the Thunder side, though, I mean, I think experience just played a huge role in this as the series went on. I think OKC got tired as the series went on, which makes sense. They're a young team. They haven't been here before. They're in a deep second-round playoff series. Game came down the wire. SGA showed he's really made for this moment. I know we had that talk, does he have the ability to go for like that 40, like near there? He balled out this game. Game ended on kind of, a weird call, but at the end of the day, a rule's a rule. If the ball is still in his hands and you hit his arm, despite getting ball first, it's a foul. And I, thought about that, and it makes sense. It's still in his hands despite getting the ball first. He hits his arm while he's still in control. So it was a good call. For the Thunder, though, they didn't go down without a fight. Jalen Williams finally started hitting some threes. Chet's going to do his thing. Had a game, looked to be a game-winning lob dunk from SGA pass. But it's a shame it ends like this for OKC, but I don't really think you could have too much more expectations. They were a 10 seed last year. They were the 1 seed this year, swept the Pelicans, and that series wasn't even close. And then they took a experienced Dallas team to 6 games. I mean, this is arguably the best backcourt in the league. And you competed, almost forced a Game 7. Thunder has obviously have such a bright future. But, I just think the experience of Dallas paid off in this series.
Yeah, I agree. I picked OKC, but, what are you going to do? Thinking about just the next matchups I know we're going to go into tomorrow. If OKC somehow, won this series, won this game, and then won Game 7 at home, I think it would have been a much better matchup for the Timberwolves. Like I might have picked the Timberwolves in like 5 if OKC ended up making it. But I think this matchup with Dallas is going to be a lot tougher on them just because of the experience. Luka's been there. He hasn't been to the finals, but he's been that far, and he's hungry for it. Kyrie obviously has the experience. So just a little preview of the preview. I will pick Minnesota still, but I think it's going to be a lot tougher series.
It's going to be scrappy. Dallas has got a great backcourt. I think Minnesota has an advantage on the front court.
Maybe I'm just disrespecting OKC. Like, I don't know. I didn't get to watch all of them this year, but I just feel like I don't know. I picked them, and I kind of got humbled by picking them and realizing maybe they're just not ready yet. They're obviously the brightest future with all these draft picks and young guys coming up and a superstar in Shea, I mean, he was hitting shot after shot in those last 2 minutes. But I just think they're not there yet.
Yeah, no, I think so for sure too. We'll see. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great series. Thunder, I think, just need to wait another year or two before they can really get over that hump. But yeah, no, it was very. I don't know. Regular season, I don't really know how much I could judge off that. But OKC really did play us tough. I think we split the season series 2-2. But I do agree, maybe in like a Rudy Cat front court versus Chet, we could have. But I mean, we'll see though. I mean, we'll see what Dallas provides. I think it's going to be a great series, and we're looking forward to that preview tomorrow. Definitely a lot of X factors in that series. But yeah, with that being said, though, I mean, we have our Final Four teams. Nothing better now than the home stretch. I'm excited. I know you are too, as both of our teams are still in this thing. But with that being said, thank you guys for listening to our NBA recap. And we'll talk about the upcoming series tomorrow. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.